On the phone, we have Ronnie and Foxie from the Hots. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. Look, firstly, it's wonderful to chat with you both. We obviously share a love of many of the same bands. And Ronnie, your name has been on our radar for quite some time as well. Yet it was your publicist who contacted us quite recently, and I'm very glad they did, because over the past few weeks, I've got to know your 4-track debut EP quite well. In particular, the extremely infectious track, Please Me. That is the song which we kicked off this show with. And I believe that is the first tune you wrote together, correct?
Yes, that was the first song Foxie and I wrote together. That's kind of the sound of the band coming together right there.
Yeah, I remember we sat in a room together with a couple of drinks, and it just came out.
I'm sure I'm not the first reviewer to tell you that you've come up trumps with Please Me. It's very catchy, and from memory, there's a break towards the end of the song where it's just Foxie's vocals with a kick drum. Really dig that. And Foxie, parts of your vocal delivery there channel, I believe, Christina Amphlett on that tune. So again, 2 thumbs up.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember when we were recording it, Mark Opitz kept saying to me how much I reminded him of a young Chrissy Amphlett, and that meant the world to me. And he was also saying that Please Me, it sounded like Chrissy was coming out through the song, and it was her saying, "You'll never forget me," which is one of the lyrics in the song.
Wow, that's cool. Well, we're going to touch on the Divinals a little bit later, but coincidentally, today being the 26th of February, when we've got you on the show, it's the release date of your second single, Shame the Devil, correct? What can you tell listeners about that track?
Yeah, that's correct. It's about to premiere any minute now on themusic.com.au. That's the hardest hitting song out of the 3, and we were inspired sonically by bands like the Divinals, Angels, Rose Tattoo, AC/DC, for that real hard rock Marshall Gibson sound.
And lyrically, we wanted to talk about tall poppy syndrome and also the challenges faced as a woman fronting a rock band.
Now, there was a gig last weekend, Saturday the 23rd of February, with Walter Lua at the Resident, correct? How was that?
That was
awesome, man. It was incredible. I walked on stage and I looked out into the audience, and Duff McKagan and Frank Ferrera from Guns N' Roses were there, and I could see their faces, and it just hit me. I'm like, I'm in Hollywood opening for Walter Lua, who played with Johnny Thunder. It was incredible, and also Monkey from the Addicts was there too, so it was surreal for me.
Yeah, it went really, really well. The room was packed from the moment we came out. We were the first, we were the opening act, and the room was full, and there was a lot of energy in the room. And we just went out and just smashed it song after song, and we've had nothing but a positive response. And I'm actually going up to some mixes now. We have the set filmed and recorded, so you can expect on our YouTube channel some footage to probably appear soon as well.
Good stuff. And I'm not sure if you've heard Walter's album with a band called The Waldos, his band The Waldos from the early 90s, called Rent Party, produced by Andy Chernoff. That record is a must-own, just filled with hook-laden tunage. But getting well off track like I'm prone to do. Now, as a side note, I think I went to the Roxy a long time ago, back in the early 90s, cannot recall who was playing. But overall, I think that was at the tail end of the 80s hard rock scene. I think grunge had pretty much killed it off by then, which makes me ask the question, in 2019, what's your opinion on the state of hard rock? I mean, it can never go back to the halcyon days, but there is a lot of great music out there. I think people just need to search it out and get behind it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we're all here. I can name off the top of my head some amazing Australian hard rock acts.
Yeah, likewise.
And we're all out there in the trenches working hard, and I think one of the toughest things is being young and upcoming, and because there have been so many incredible bands before us, people are a bit hesitant to check out music, or they don't want to hear something new.
Yeah, and we definitely are a dying breed. Like, it is more of an underground movement, and, as far as the mainstream's concerned, the only real person in the limelight as far as mainstream musicians go is Dave Grohl. Everyone else, there is a very healthy underground rock community, and we all do keep in touch, and it's growing. And from where we sit, we just feel it's our obligation and responsibility to fly the flag and keep the fire burning. And
that's why we're out here in the States working so hard. We want to keep Aussie rock on the map, and every time we play, we keep having people telling us how refreshing it is to to hear that sound back out there again.
Yeah, definitely. And we very proudly are an Australian hard rock band. And we make that very known to people. I fly the Southern Cross on my guitar strap. It's, we feel like we're flying the flag for hard rock and Australian hard rock around the world. And we do it very proudly.
And further to that, I think the EP has, I believe, picked up some airplay in North America since its release, which must be pleasing. Rodney Bingenheimer, he was first to play it, correct?
Yeah, Rodney debuted before you on his show, the Underground Garage on Sirius XM. And, he's the legendary mayor of the Sunset Strip. He's responsible for discovering bands out here like Blondie, David Bowie, the Ramones, the Sweets, Joan Jett, the Runaways. I could go on. But from there, it's taken off. We've had a rotation on over 90 stations across the US and Canada, and we're charted at number one, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, 4 times. No.
And the entire EP was added to rotation on WNJR in Washington, Pennsylvania. Like the East Coast is, they're really vibing on it. And we just can't wait to get out and tour everywhere.
Okay, well, let's talk about the EP for a bit, if we can, and focus on the track Before You, which you cut a video for as well. Super catchy. And Foxy, I need to make mention of your vocals on that track, especially just after the 2-minute mark where you scream your lungs out. Love, love, love that. How did Before You come about?
Well, we wanted to write that about our relationship. I'm sure everybody's figured it out now that Ronnie and I are married. And we've been very open and upfront about that from the start. And we just wanted to put a flag in the ground and say we did it. We got married 2 years ago now. Ronnie literally ran off a plane to the altar where he just toured the world with Richie Ramone of the Ramones. We walked down the aisle to Be With You by the Angels. Angry Anderson was there. So it was incredible. All of Rose Tattoo were there, actually.
They're very good friends.
We just wanted to write a song that sort of sums...
A hard rock love song.
Yeah, a hard rock love song that's tough and meaningful.
You can say I love you with it, and still have balls.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's not many people get the opportunity to do that, which is pretty cool. But the EP features...
and I will add that note that I scream is untouched, not auto-tuned, not shifted, and the whole EP is 100% raw, nothing on the vocals. Mark Opitz wouldn't let me, even if I asked him.
There's no computer processing on the vocals, and the EP was recorded live in one room with no click track.
Oh, it's good to hear.
Console.
Yeah, we did it the old school way. He insisted, we did a face-to-face with the Angels, we did Powerhouse with AC/DC like this, you want it to sound like this is the way you're going to do it. And we just did it.
Great to hear. The EP features Blake from Sydney outfit Molly and the Krells on bass, and his rhythm partner was the rock-solid Mick O'Shea on drums. That's a pretty formidable live outfit.
Yeah, Mick and Blake are both very, very good friends of ours.
And we got them because they're the best.
Yeah.
Like, Mick O'Shea's a metronome, and everyone knows that every band he plays with, he absolutely kills it. And Blake is one of the most hard-working, dedicated musicians in Australia that I know. We've both been friends with him for many years, and he's a real deal. I can't wait to see what he does next, because it's going to be amazing.
He's amazing.
Well, I might. It seems timely. I might point out that we had Mick O'Shea on the show last year and looked over his career. Molly and the Krells, they had a single last year called Rejected, which I reviewed, which was fantastic. But so having both Mark Opitz, who produced the EP, and Tony Mott, who took the photos, must have been a dream come true.
Yeah, it was. It's like we both grew up adoring all the acts both of them worked with, and especially the Divinals, and the fact that we got to work with Tony Mott and Mark Opitz, that were pretty much responsible for that famous cover image and producing those records. It's an indescribable dream came true.
And Tony Mott's a lovely person. He's so easy to work with, and as you can see from all the photos, he's really, really good at what he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did I read somewhere that you'd written nearly 2 albums worth of material?
Yeah, that's true. We just wrote, and this band had been in the works since late 2016, early 2017. And I was working at the time as a full-time session musician. I was out on the road with Richie. So we wrote a lot of it via correspondence. For example, I'd be in a hotel room in Argentina, and we'd both be on Skype, and we picked the 3 songs that we figured were the most solid and best represented us, and put a cover as well with Nice Voice by Rose Tattoo. And yeah, we've got 2 albums more in the can, and that's going to be the next step. We're doing another music video for Please Me, so we're doing a video for all 3 of the original singles on the EP, and once that's done, the next step will be making either another EP or an LP, and that's what we're working on now.
That's good. It all sounds very positive. Now, you just mentioned, Ronnie, the Rose Tattoo cover. I can't recall hearing a female lead vocal on a Rose Tattoo cover since there was a lady called Helen Schneider from Germany back in 1981 with her rebadged version of Rock and Roll Outlaw. Was it a tough choice to finally settle on Nice Boys?
No, it was an obvious choice for us. I always listened to it for years and always thought this would be awesome coming from a female perspective with a female voice, especially lyrically. And Angry's heard it. He loves it. So that was amazing to do him proud. And
yeah, and it was a very, it was a sentimental moment for everyone. Like Mark Opert said, because he produced the Blood Brothers album, to do a Rose Tattoo song, and to have Mick in there, who had played drums with the Taps before as well. It just kind of made sense for us to do. And it's, like Foxie said, to flip the perspective and the gender on that, we couldn't think of anyone else that had done it either, so that's why we wanted to do it so badly. We thought it was a really, a nice homage, but our own spin on it.
It's definitely everybody's favourite when we perform live.
Yeah, we had people shouting out in the crowd the last week. Every time there was a gap in silence, someone in the crowd yelled, "Nice Boys!"
Well, Foxie, let's just put the spotlight on you for a moment and talk a little about your background. I think I read that your dad was a drummer, and can I assume that that was your segue into rock and roll? Did he play in any bands around Sydney?
Yeah, he played in a band called Fishmonger, so he's been a prog rock drummer, and it was definitely my introduction. I have always been involved in music. Even if I wanted to get away from it, I couldn't. Like, I grew up in the Sydney pub side of stage. I went to my first show at a couple of months old. My parents were crazy Primus fans, and there's a photo of me with little headphones on watching them. And yeah, I feel very, very lucky that I have supportive parents and family that have always, pushed me, especially my dad. He would always tell me, you need to get out there, you need to be in a band now before life gets in the way, and he's right. So I'm only 23 years old, and I've been going hard at it since I was a kid, and I still feel very grateful to be where I am now.
Did you at one stage front your own outfit and record an album?
Yeah, I've been in and out of bands over the years. I played in a grunge band called Hallucinogenics. I did a country pop scene for a while, but nobody needs to hear that. And I was working on my solo record in Melbourne about 3-4 years ago now. And some of those songs we've reworked and are using with the Hots now.
Okay. Well, before this interview, I was watching you run through an acoustic take of Boston's Peace of Mind, which was very cool.
Well, that was your first performance,
That was my first performance in the US. It was awesome. I also got to do Hard Luck Woman by Kiss. So definitely good songs to show off my vocal range. Okay, and I know that in the past you've co-written songs with Paul Wassine from the Screaming Jets. Did those tunes ever see the light of day? Not yet.
We have they're amongst the aforementioned songs of the 2 albums worth of material we have written.
Right.
So they're in the can.
We recorded the demos of a few of them in Sydney
with Nick on drums.
With Mick O'Shea on drums and Paul.
But, they'll hit a light of day in good time. So yeah, Paul's been a very good friend. Paul's been a friend of mine since my old band L.U.S.T toured with the Jets for their Do Ya tour in 2008. So that's, Paul's a very good friend of mine. And all of the Screaming Jets for that matter. And both of us have actually got up and performed with them, actually, in the past couple of Foxie got up.
Yeah, it was awesome. I performed Friend of Mine with Paul at Central Coast League Club, and my dad was in the audience, and he said, "This is surreal. I remember seeing them in the Cross when I was 21 years old." So it's funny how things go full circle like that.
Chatted with Paul all the way back on show number 3 at the time he released his solo album Bombito, so listeners may want to check that out if they have not already done so. Ronnie, you cut some tracks on the Screaming Jets Got You Covered album, did you not?
Yeah. I was one of the many guitar players that got to play on Guitar-mageddon, as Paul called it, the Stevie Wright cover of Guitar Band. And that, I'm a huge Stevie Wright fan and a huge Screaming Jets fan, so, getting to play on that was a real privilege and an honor, and the fact that the record went to #1 on the iTunes rock charts, that was a really nice touch. But that was really cool, and to be playing guitar in the company of people like Rick Brewster from the Angels or Dave Leslie from the Baby Animals, it means the world to me. I'm really, really proud of that solo and about the work I did on that. If they're listening, thanks again, guys, for having me.
Well, let's dig into your history a little. I know that albums like Face to Face and Power Age were both crucial records in your upbringing. Yet before that, how did you first get into music? Was it a family member?
Oh, far out. Since I can remember, I think I was 7 or 8 years old when I saw Back to the Future and watched Marty McFly do what he did with Johnny B. Good, and I went, I want to do that. And you watch me perform, you can see how much I actually got from that video. But after that, it was just pretty much anything I could get my hands on. Since I was 12 years old, I just decided I want to be a full-time rock guitarist for the rest of my life if this kills me. And from, I got into AC/DC, Kiss, the Ramones, Sex Pistols. Anyone that was around Newtown from 2001 to 2004 might remember a little ginger kid that would sit on the side of King Street in front of the National Bank with an acoustic guitar screaming Sex Pistols and AC/DC songs. Well, that was me. So thanks to anyone that ever threw dollars my way, and those dollars went on to spend on albums like Face to Face, all of the AC/DC records, the Divinals, Rose Tattoo, the Ramones, Screaming Jets. It just snowballed. Anything and everything I could get my hands on, I just absorbed. And I've been playing in pubs. I played my first gig at the Town and Country in Sydney in 2004 with my first band, the Skanks. And I grew up playing in pubs, sneaking in when I was underage. And I've just been doing it ever since.
Well, that's timely. Ronnie, I want to run something past you. There was a headline in Sydney's Daily Telegraph a few years back which read, rocker Ronnie Simmons goes from busking on King Street, Newtown to playing with Guns N' Roses and Alice Cooper. Now, for those not in the know, they make it sound like it was a straightforward process. However, people should remember that for quite some time you'd paid plenty of rock and roll dues with the outfit L.U.S.T, and over the course of 4 or 5 years gigged relentlessly in a van to cities, towns and regional centres in many parts of the country, I assume making next to nothing, yet serving a rock and roll apprenticeship the Australian way.
100%, man. It's like, I say all the time, it's like, doing a 13-hour drive to Brisbane, playing to 50 people if you're lucky, and then selling merch, and then jumping in the van at 2 a.m. and doing the 13-hour drive back in the middle of summer with no air conditioning. Every single weekend, I put my heart and soul into L.U.S.T, and that band was my baby and brainchild with Cindy Sin, who's now kicking field goals a bit off around the world, really. I definitely slogged it out, and I've slept on floors, I've played for fuck all money. The leading sentence you said, you couldn't hit the nail on the head any better, and the fact that it's been noticed and you worded it that way, it means a lot, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Well,
it's been a long journey.
There were Screaming Jets supports in 2008 and 2009, a short tour with Lord, ex-Dungeon, not to mention, as I've just said, thousands of kilometres in a van over time, and many local bands do this. It's that work ethic, the sweat, if you like. And I just wish to emphasise my point here that those things, that work ethic, the perseverance, combined with a tough live environment. I've spoken about this with Chris Bonacci from Sweet Jane and Girls School, also Andy Sechon, who said a similar thing when I asked him about going over and joining Shania Twain's band, that there's a toughness found in many Australian musicians which is built up over time due to the things I mentioned, the endless slog on the road, playing in pubs. It builds a resolve. Bands like AC/DC, INXS, The Tats, Angels, by the time they got to Europe and North America, they were battle-hardened, which is something you gained, I guess, in L.U.S.T, which no doubt prepared you for what was to come. Agreed?
100%. And it's funny you actually mention Andy Sechon. He's a friend of ours as well. And that work ethic you mentioned, I was blown away. It all ties into what you mentioned with Foxie's solo album earlier. I heard that album when she came out here. We've always been friends. We caught up. She played it to me, and it blew me away. I could not believe how, the voice, the songwriting ability, and not to mention, most importantly, what you said, work ethic. Foxie's one of the most driven people I've ever met. And then and there, I just decided I was going to hang up my session musician gloves, and I'd found the singer I'd always wanted to work with, and that became a plan to step forward and start creating what the Hops became. And
and it's our life now. We do this every day, and it's really, really cool to be in a relationship with somebody that gets it and gets how much you've got to put in, how much sacrifice. Like we can't get pets. We're not going to have kids. We're not going to do all that stuff.
You know, the music's our baby. And it's, like I said, it's funny you mentioned Andy Shoshone, because he got us backstage passes and tickets, front row tickets to Billy Joel when he played with Billy Reed in LA a couple of years ago at Dodger Stadium. And me and Foxie both went. That was, you know, it was your birthday that year. That was your birthday present. We got a.
It was awesome to see him up there at that Dodger Stadium. So you can imagine there were so many people, and it's like, there's an Aussie up there. That's awesome.
And we sent the record to Andy, and he gave us, a big pat on the back, because he played in Judge Mercy with Nick O'Shea that played on the record. So again, the more time I spend in the rock world, the more it shrinks. It's a very small world.
And again, I don't mean to be plugging my own show, but we did have Andy on 3 or 4 years ago. So if listeners want to check out his history, they can go for it. But that last album, First Tattoo, is great, by the way. I played it recently in the car to prepare for this interview. There's a couple of tracks on there, Too Much Too Soon and Give Me a Fix in particular. Both are really, really strong. And I guess that was the result of a band, as I mentioned before, that after countless gigs and hard work had started to see some positive results from all that effort.
Well, we got the tour with Ace Frehley from Kiss, and we did all of Australia with that. And, L.U.S.T formed when I was just leaving school. I think I was about 17 when me and Cindy formed that band. And we went through multiple lineup changes. Like you said earlier, we toured the country. We drove Cindy's van around the country so many times we eventually blew it up and had to push it to the gig we played. And, one gig, it was, we had spent hours driving around Australia. We worked our asses off. Like, we were relentless. And thank you for mentioning those songs. But, that album, First Tattoo, which we did with produced by Peter Northcote, and we had it mixed in LA by Auric Wild. A lot of hard work went into that. But I'll never forget being on tour with Ace Frehley, me and Cindy sitting at Bon Scott's grave, splitting a case of beer, having just played the first show before we flew to the next one in Adelaide, just being like, man, we're at Bon's grave on tour with Ace Frehley from Kiss. This is pretty cool. And in hindsight, things that I've achieved since then and are currently achieving with Foxie by my side, I'm really proud that I stuck to my guns and I'm still doing it.
That's awesome. Frehley hadn't toured since 1980, so I recall there was quite a buzz, some large crowds for him, which was great. It would have been a great opportunity for an opening act like yourselves to seize the opportunity. Now, as a kid who was raised in Newtown, what was it like to play at the Enmore, and that Sydney date, a venue you would have walked past countless times? Yeah,
I'm loving doing this interview, by the way. I got goosebumps as you said that. That was a real milestone for me. Like, I'll never forget that. Like, growing up, Newtown born and raised, like you said, I'd walk past the Enmore on a daily basis. I'd walk home past it on the way home from school at Newtown High. To get up on that stage was a real milestone. And I'll never forget at Soundcheck, I got Ace Frehley to autograph my leg, and then I ran to the tattoo shop on King Street and got it tattooed over, and then ran back and played the gig with the plastic wrap still on the tattoo. And by the time our set was done, my socks were soaked with blood. And, I got to show it to Ace, and I got a rock and roll out of Ace Frehley. I thought that was pretty damn cool.
Was there a Nashville Pussy support as well for memory, the Gaelic Theatre?
Yes, we supported Nashville Pussy, we supported Ace Frehley, we supported Crash Diet, we supported the Screaming Jets, we supported Kevin Borish's Party Boys, which is actually how I met Nick O'Shea. That was Swanee and Angry on vocals. That was my introduction to, the Tats camp, really, and as the rest, as you say, is history. It's, everything I did back then, it's just an addition process and growing, and I do that now. And someone that's listening that's, that might want to follow in my footsteps, if you're crazy enough to want to do it, is just, I made friends with all those people along the way. And it's an addition process. Just be nice to everyone and be grateful for every second of it. And good things will happen.
Ronnie proved the future of Aussie hard rock is in capable hands. Ronnie rocked with the best of them. Well done, young man. That comment there from Angry Anderson after your stint in the Mighty Rose Tattoo, how did that come about? And I can only imagine, and I know you've played some big venues with some big names, but, with your love of the Tats, that surely has to be, some memories to keep forever. How did that come about?
Well, I was on their radar. Mick was actually a mentor of mine, Mick Cox. My old band, the Skanks, the band that predated L.U.S.T, which was with, again, Cindy Sin. Skanks kind of became L.U.S.T. We used to open for Doomfox. Yep. And through that, we became friends with Mick. And Clint Braddock as well took Cindy under his wing, and Cindy helped out teching alongside Clint Braddock with Rose Tattoo. And we just became a part of that camp. And then after, again, touring with the Party Boys and then meeting Angry and playing, on stage with them a couple of nights, they invited me up. That gig was always, Mick Cox is one of the greatest rhythm guitarists that ever lived and was a big influence on me. So to be able to fill his shoes even for a brief moment meant the world to me. And I'll never forget, they hit me up. I heard from them being like, hey, kid, do you want to have a lash, as they said. These are the songs, learn the songs, no rehearsal, sold out gig, got up, played them, and that was that. And, it still means the world to me, being able to share the stage with those guys.
The fastest right hand in rock and roll, and I guess from a musician's point of view, what was it about Coxie's playing which you love so much?
Well, it's not just the machine gun guitar as well. It's the fact he does, him and Malcolm, as far as the right hand is concerned, is like, when people ask me about rhythm guitar, I say, look at Mick Cox, Johnny Ramone, and Malcolm Young. But it wasn't just the downstrokes and the machine gun rhythms. He could boogie, he had swagger, and was just so in the pocket. But he got in a very aggressive style, and it's something I've imitated. And you can hear it in the downstrokes of the songs I play with the Hots. Like you can hear the downstrokes in, for example, Please Me. And that's inspired by songs like Suicide City. And that machine gun style that Mick definitely had down pat.
I know you've done time recently with Richie Ramone. Now, a friend of mine known as Mr. Ratboy, who played with Marky Ramone, once said to me, you have no idea how big the Ramones are in South America. It's very true, isn't it?
Oh my God. Like, it's like a religion down there. Like, I got the Ramones skull tattooed on my arm after playing Argentina with Richie sold out. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. Like people ask, the customs were asking for photos with us, and it's like I'm the session guy in the band, not the Ramone. Like it's fanatical and it's amazing. I can't wait to take the Hots there. Every promoter we work with I've kept in touch with along the way, and that's going to be definitely the colours for the Hots. And I can't wait to take the band to South America. It's on the to-do list.
You got a favourite Ramones record which Richie recorded with the Ramones? Too Tough to Die is a good one. It's got Mama's Boy on it, and I think he wrote Somebody Put Something in My Drink from memory. That's a ripper.
Yeah, he did Somebody Put Something in My Drink. Well, a lot of the albums Richie did with them, like, not just Too Tough to Die. Bonzo Goes to Bitburg is possibly one of my favourite Ramones songs ever, and Richie played on that. Like, My Brain is Hanging Upside Down. Like, that's one of the best Ramones songs ever, and Richie played on that. He brought a lot to the table, and he was the songwriter as well as a drummer. He did write, Somebody Put Something in My Drink, I'm Not Jesus, and I Know Better Now, and plenty more.
I think Richie also played on one of my favourite ever Ramones songs called I Want to Live off the, how's my memory, Halfway to Sanity LP. Did you play that live with him?
We ran through I Want to Live in rehearsals. We never actually played I Want to Live live.
Okay, Doc. Now, one thing I've always admired about both of you is that you're very much students of Australian rock and roll. Learning about the history of the bands you love seems important to you.
Yeah, definitely. The history is everything. Like, I'll never forget when I was on tour with the Party Boys, John Swan saying to me, he's like, you know all of this stuff. Like, and I was always like that. And it's funny, the Long Way to the Top documentary series and Blood and Sun. Like, that's what I put on when I want to relax and have a good time. I love it. I love every second of it. And
it was funny when we were recording with Mark Opus. He had his book, and he kept making references from that. And we'd both read it many times, and I was trying to be cool and not like tell him that I knew everything about his life and career.
Yeah, we kept it as cool as we could until like, the end of the last day, and Foxie's like, I got to get the book signed. I'm like, just ask him, just do it.
And he loved it.
And he was like, oh, really? We're like, oh, dude, we've been trying to keep the fandom under wraps to keep it cool and get the job done.
I have a great photo of him holding the book.
Well, let's talk some Divinyls for a bit. I know you are both big fans. Maybe Foxie, you can answer this, but is it one specific thing about Christina Amphlett which you admire? Was it the songs, her as a person? What is it?
I think the thing I love most about Chrissy is she's just an enigma. She just has everything down pat, and she makes it look so effortless. She's got the voice, like this crazy, aggressive, beautiful at times voice that is just so genuine and authentic. And I remember being a young girl and hearing Desperate for the first time and going, whoa, that sort of sounds like me, because I have a unique voice as well, and I sort of found a haven in that. I love her persona. I love that she proved that women can be both tough and own their sexuality at the same time. I love her lyrics. I remember Mark McKenzie talking to me once about how they would write the songs together, and he'd be playing a guitar riff in the other room, and he'd hear Chrissy 2 rooms down already humming a melody and just coming up with everything. I could talk for hours about that question.
Me too. Look, one song which would be a great Divinyls song to put into your set is the single they released back when they reformed. I think it's called Don't Want to Do This. Not enough people know it, but I reckon that would suit your sound really well. Yeah,
I love that song. It's a great song. She really shows off her lower register there. It's really cool.
Well, I saw the band a lot over the years, and not getting sidetracked, but I followed the Temperamental tour from Sydney all the way up to Queensland, so I know that record backwards as well, which is Temperamental's a great record.
Yeah. That's an awesome record.
We have the vinyl sitting over behind.
Yeah, we have
all their albums on vinyl.
All the vinyl on vinyl.
Sounds like you guys should be doing a podcast.
Our podcast would be too long. We just talk for the whole day. 24-hour long podcast.
Well, let's talk about some future plans. You've announced the release of Shame the Devil via your social media pages. Actually, I did read a comment. Some folks were asking about Australian dates. Are there plans in the future for some gigs in Australia?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of things in the works, and like I mentioned, it's not just Australia; it's everywhere. I've built this database over the years. We've got people in South America, in Mexico, in Europe, in Japan, even, and we're sitting back and looking at it, going, "All right,
what's the best way to
and most effective way to do this?" So, we did just Shame the Devil, a lyric video for that. We start filming a video for Please Me in March, and then, like I said, the next step will be doing a follow-up record. Whilst we're knocking that out, we are kind of in LA with our feet on the ground until that's done. We are looking into getting out and touring everywhere, and we will announce that as soon as we have something locked in. And it's, we will get to it, and it will happen. And we appreciate everyone being patient, and the fact that there's such demand and people are showing such love for us and want to see us as much as they do is great. And it will happen.
I read a comment online that you were working on writing some new songs that may or may not be Dragon influenced and inspired. That comment piqued the interest of a few.
Yes, there's actually a new one we just added into the set, Leaving Here With Me. That's hasn't been recorded, but it's definitely I've had Dragon. I'm a huge Dragon fan. Dragon was definitely in line when I was approaching my guitar parts for that song. There's a lot of songs in the can, and if we could, we'd go and record them all right now. But it's we're just one step at a time.
Ronnie and Foxie, it's been really, really great to chat with you both today. We've long flown the flag for loud Australian rock and roll, yet you guys, via the Hots, are out there doing it and doing it very well. You've got a great work ethic, and I reckon that if the EP is any indication of what's ahead, and I'm alluding to an album, then it's something for many of us to get excited about. So again, many thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having us.
No, thank you very much.
Hear an Aussie accent.
And so this has been really great. All the questions you've asked have been amazing. It means a lot to me that you've paid as much attention as you have.
If fans wish to purchase your EP and contact you, thehotsofficial.com is the online place to visit. I am assuming all those yellow wax copies of the EP have sold out?
We have we're down to minimum amount of we've got black ones and yellow ones. The yellow ones are nearly all gone.
Okay.
So if you want a yellow limited issue one, get in quick. We're running very low. I'm still amazed that anyone that says physical sales is gone, I'm telling you it's not. Even at our show the other night, the amount of records we moved is just it is mind blowing.
Guys, every guest on our show gets to choose a song by an Australian band, something which is significant to them. What would you like to choose and why?
Oh man, I got a big grin on my face. It's so many options.
I'd have to say Divinal Pleasure and Pain. And why? I think it's just such a perfect song lyrically, musically. Chrissy shines through in her performance, and the words have always meant a lot to me in my own way.
Nice. Ronnie, what would you like to choose?
I'm going to go with One of the Boys, Rose Passes. And why? Because it could autographically be about my life. One of those many songs that you hear and go, that's me.
Let's end the show with that. Good luck for the rest of the year, and please keep in touch.
Thank you so much, and likewise. This interview's meant a lot to me. I really appreciate it.